Forget what you heard about removing vinyl wraps. Today we're going to show you quick easy steps in terms of removing color vinyl on your vehicle. Before we get started, one thing I want to make clear is you do want to clean your car before you do this, because you are going to be struggling a little bit in terms of removing the vinyl. So during that process, you don't want a dirty car, which means that you could rub against the wrong thing and then scratch your car. So you do always want to work off a clean car. So now, we're going to do it step by step, and we're going to give you some tips that we've learned over time in terms of removing vinyl. I want to disclose, though, the types of vinyl that you remove is going to matter. Look, if you're removing a 10-year vinyl, it's going to be hard. So this might not apply to you, and we could probably do another video. What I'm talking about is vinyl under 5 years and vinyl that is high quality, meaning double cast. And a lot of large manufacturers make double cast film. This one particularly is SW900 Supreme Wrap from Avery, Dennison. So these are much easier to remove than something that you got off, let's say, Amazon, that's cheaper. So I just want to disclose that part and about the 10-year thing. Like, if you're going to do that, that's another video. This is not that video. So the first step is removing vinyl is much easier with heat. There's a lot of ways you can heat, and the most common method is heat gun. Here's the pros and cons to it. Well, pros is you can move it around exactly where you want to move it around. The cons is that it's a very specific portion of the area that you're heating up. So if you're heating up, you actually need the whole thing to be heated up, right? So it's going to take a long time. So it helps if you have another person. Just make sure that person doesn't burn you. But basically, you're going to go around this whole area, heat it up. It's a lot more passive in the way, like, it's going to take a long time to heat up all this area. So that's probably the most common method. It works. However, it will take some time. The other method, if you're in a hot place or a hot area, is to just leave your car outside. And when you leave your car outside, typically this will heat up. It'll be radiating heat. And basically, it will just cook this up, and that will make it a lot easier for you to actually remove the vinyl. So now, if none of those were your options, one other option that I love actually doing on PPF and color vinyl is use a giant towel. This is a drying towel. This is about, what, 24 by 36 roughly? And basically, you put it on one portion of the whole hood. You use hot water, not absolutely boiling water, but close. And you basically run it through, and you put the water down here, and that will actually heat up a larger portion of that hood. When you actually do that, it will heat up the metal, or whether it's aluminum, steel, or whatever, and I think it makes it a lot easier to remove compared to like the heat gun, which is a lot more isolated area of heating. So I like using this method. I think it's quicker. Water is easy to get. Just get a little boiling pot and then run it through, and it works really well. So if you have two towels, you could put two of them right here, side by side, put some water, and then this will be ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and show you, once you get it heated, whatever method you use, whatever you have access to, the first thing is always start from the corner. So in this case, the corner is going to be that corner. It's really easier because there's going to be a natural corner right there. So we're going to go ahead and open up the front. I'm going to try to get a little start, okay? So once I get a little start, you're just going to use your nails. You're just trying to get a start, okay? So I'm not trying to be pretty right now. Okay, so once you get to this point, all right, I'm going to just close it. Once you get to this point, assuming this is all heated up, we did actually warm it up quite a bit before we got started. Here's the thing. I'm going to assume that this has been here for about 2 years, right? That's not good for the car. If you actually remove your film this way and you pull as hard as you can, you're muscling it out, that is one way you could do it. However, you're adding a lot of tension to the actual surface of the clear coat. So usually it doesn't damage, but it could potentially have some damage effects, right? So the way to do it is actually you pull towards you. That's the safest way, in my opinion, to do it. So you see, you pull. It's going to require a lot of work, by the way. You're going to just pull towards yourself, right? The other option is, I've seen this in like TikTok and stuff, is like they could put like an air compressor and then bubble it up. That's another way, right? It's much more fun. But basically, what you do is kind of go towards yourself and then try to create the least amount of surface tension. And when you do that, I'm creating a line. Yep, it is a loud, arduous process. Whoever wrapped this did such a good job that it makes it so hard. So that's fine. Once we open it, we can actually do it. But basically, once you get a line like this, you can go all the way from left to right or right to left, whatever works better for you. So you just kind of pull towards yourself. By the way, the hotter the vinyl is, maybe not the hotter, but if it's warmer, this part will be so much easier, if I'm being totally honest with you. Okay, so get it nice and warm. That's the way to do it, in my opinion. So, all right, let's go ahead and open up the front again. I want to get some of the edges so that I can get a little bit better access. So in these areas, there you go. Okay, so by the time we started this video, it got a lot less hot. So basically, watch this. Once I add a little bit more heat, you want to make sure you go over your shoulder. You can see that it's a lot more pliable. You see that? Here's the thing though, you don't want too much heat because what happens? It's gonna rip, right? So you don't want too much heat at the same time. But you're basically using some heat. Look at that, it rips once you have too much heat. So that's the reason why I actually like using the towel method or just leaving it outside, and then it is so much easier than to me than doing like the method of heat gun. Once you get to this point though, it does get easier because now you have all this little corner, all the sides, and then basically from here on out, you gotta be careful. You are putting a lot of tension. Go towards yourself. And pull, 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 pull towards you. I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot of pain, right? It does get a little bit harder once you get to the middle. Mainly because it's harder to reach that area. That's really why. I'm gonna go ahead and heat it up just a little bit. That will make it a little bit easier. We'll go ahead and do all this. And I think a lot of this advice can be taken into paint protection film as well. But I do think that paint protection film is even grabbier or more aggressive in terms of like the adhesive. So it does get pretty hard. And typically when we do this, we just charge by the hour. So sometimes you don't even know how long this is gonna take. It can take 1 hour, 10 hours, right? And I wanna be very clear. If you are working with something that's like, let's say 10 years old, it's gonna be hard, especially if it's that old of a film, or even longer, right? So you just wanna be very careful about taking a job like that, especially if it's an older film. You just wanna make sure, once you get to the end, you can kind of pull a little bit. You're not really putting that much more tension. And then get the rest of it. And then this is gonna go into the bucket. Definitely in the bucket. We don't need to cut to that. So that's how you remove the hood on really any vehicle. That's what you can do. The key points here is you wanna pull towards you, kind of get under it and then pull towards you. Start from the corner and work your way. On a hood, once you get kind of to the center, it's hard to reach. So I kind of went like this a little bit, but it's really what you can reach, right? For some areas like the fender, it's a lot easier access, right? You're not like going all the way in down to the middle or to all the top of the hood. So if you have any questions in removing vinyl, let us know in the comments below. Click on that subscribe button. We love making content around, helping you, making sure you can customize, protect, or maintain your vehicles. So we'll see you later.